No, I think it's...
Hey, Mark, whereabouts are you?
This is Jason Verney's podcast. I am Jason Verney. This is a podcast in the park kind of episode. Well, it's not kind of, it is. I'm actually in Queen's Park, which is just down the road from where I live, walking distance, and it's actually Queen's Park Day today, and I didn't realise that until today. I should do. I do spend quite a bit of time in the Queen's Park area, albeit in the coffee shops, sometimes the odd pub, although I haven't drunk for almost a month, so I haven't had any alcohol whatsoever. I've been coffeeed up every day, hot chocolate, tea, specialty teas, you name it, weaning myself off alcohol by having other treats in the name of those drinks, or the foods, too many sweet foods. It probably isn't good for my health in general and sinuses. Anyway, so although I know Queen's Park area well enough, or the sort of town, villagey area or pocket of London, Queen's Park, I didn't know that this Queen's Park Day was today until I decided to walk to the Lexi Cinema, where I went yesterday, the first time in ages, and I went today because I realised yesterday that there's a screening today of Wind River. In fact, to be honest, it wasn't so much a screening of that particular film that drew me back to the Lexi Cinema in Kensal Rise that I was walking to, because the Wind River is actually the film that they're currently screening, but the 5 o'clock screening was actually every few Sundays, or every sort of, it could be spontaneous, or I don't know if it's a last minute decision, but Green and Co, an estate agent, a local estate agent in the area, sponsor Green Sundays, I think it's called, or something like that. But so a 5 p.m. screening, they have not free screenings. I do apologise. £2.50, but it's almost free. It was a full house. I was lucky to get my ticket yesterday when I was there, but that was a major coincidence. Sorry, it sounds like I've been drinking. I haven't. I've had coffee, tea, you name it. But yeah, so I decided to walk to Kensal Rise, which I have done before. It's not far. It's just through Queen's Park, the park itself. And lo and behold, in front of me was this, grand sort of event in the park itself, with food stalls, charity stalls, tombolas, 2 or 3 music sort of mini stadiums, I suppose you could call them, or areas. And I was, I strolled through there. Unfortunately, I brought my laptop with me today, so I was kind of, I was a bit weighed down than I would be. I wanted to open the podcast with some people talking, hence there was a few seconds.
Move out there for a while.
A few seconds of talking, and there was some more. I like to keep it natural when I do these podcasts on the go, or podcasts in the park, as this one is. And it was only really after coming back from seeing Wind River, which I'll get onto in a second, that I decided to do this from this park area. It's all kind of closing down. They're kind of shutting down the stalls here, and the vans and the rubbish picker-uppers. But yeah, so it's been a day today where it's been a very relaxed day. I recorded a podcast earlier today, an actual kind of, you could say, proper podcast in my recording room at my recording room, basically. That was regarding the recent Korean film release, The Villainess. So you can find that on Facebook. Sorry, you can find that on YouTube and iTunes. That episode is already uploaded. But yeah, so I wanted to see this. I thought I'd go and see this film today. I had no idea what it was about. I like to do that very often. Just go to see a film. That's very often what I do at the Tricycle Cinema. I don't particularly go to films often I hear about a film, want to see it. If anything, I avoid films I don't want to see. So in other words, if they don't seem they seem too commercial or too predictable or too just for the sake of it, the odd crazy comedy or the I can't really think about the certain genre that I'm really not interested in. I won't see it, but I'm up for any other film. Here comes a tractor, so I'm going to walk away from that. Yeah, so I walked through the park. I wandered around. I hadn't long before eaten, so I didn't bother treating myself to any of the sort of snacks and various international food things that were around here. But it's been a lovely day. It's been a really warm day, sun shining, and there was I from about 3 o'clock perched in the cafe area of the Lexi Cinema once I'd walked there, and I just, I've come out now. It's a bit colder now. You could say it's turned a tiny bit bitterly cold, and I thought that was quite apt because the film that I've just seen, Wind River, it's based in the snowy mountains, the snowy area. It's actually filmed, I noticed at the end in the credits, it's actually filmed in Utah. And the film itself, it's great, it looks great, and it's kind of a little bit eerie. Nick Cave's music, or the music accompanying Nick Cave's material, adds to that. And it's really, I wasn't too sure at first. I thought, have I seen this kind of thing before? Is it slow? I don't mind something being slow, but is it too slow? Is it not really my cup of tea for this moment in time that that I'd opted to see this film? But no, it kind of gets more interesting as it goes along. It gets more tense. It even sort of dramatically changes. I suppose 3/4 of the way through, but only to tell you a part of the story, and and that's probably that could be the most tense, sort of almost graphically horrific. It was quite graphic anyway. It's regarding a girl who's been found dead. Let's keep this very vague, as I do with my reviews. I don't like to give too much away. I think you should experience the film in the same way that I experience films, or not just me. That many people like to experience films with little knowledge as possible. There's nothing worse than knowing everything or so much about a film. So there's a body's found. There you go. That's been done in many films. It's kind of Native American, sort of Indian, what do they call it? Your native territory. And someone's been killed. We don't know why, but it's freezing cold in this area. How did she get from this place to this place? Who responsible? There's an FBI person involved, a woman, and the rest of the cast is very much male-dominated cast, and that probably goes with what the film kind of. It's perhaps some of its subject matter. We live in a male-dominated world, and it's that could be sort of underpinning message, if you like, underlying message. So it's very, and the acting's brilliant all the way through. All the cast, the central leads are very good. It's very sad. I kind of welled up in a few bits towards the end. And even the scenes where it's happening, you wince. Sorry, where certain things are happening, you wince. So it's and it is interesting. Something it does tell you towards the end of the film. I'll give this away. It's not really a spoiler to the film at all. Perhaps it's just something that's provided to the audience, that many missing persons in Native American, I want to say Indian, in those parts of the US, they're not listed. The missing people don't go listed. So there's so many missing people out there that just don't get mention. I mean, in America and UK they get mentioned, missing people. I suppose in America, I don't know if it still happens, they get mentioned on the back of a milk carton everywhere, missing persons. But in the different, you could say different divide, the different cultures, that isn't the thing. It's either not the way, or it just doesn't happen, and I don't know the reasons behind that. I don't know so Wind River, I would definitely recommend you check it out, but I mean, it's not for at times it's not for the faint-hearted. I mean, some scenes are pretty, most of it's not violent. I suppose most of it's not violence. It's an investigation by the police, but there's some scenes which are quite harsh, and it's saying that the audience in the Lexi Cinema, which I think it's a very small cinema, and I've mentioned it in an article before, and indeed a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook posting yesterday, that it's the only socially responsible cinema in the UK, if not in Europe, if not in the world. And the money that's it takes, even for things like popcorn, anything like that. Sorry, there's some more noise behind me. All the trucks are leaving this area. All the money goes to this self-sustainable village in a town or place in Africa. So I can't really recommend this cinema enough. But what I was going to say was the people. I mean, I guess 2/3 of the audience were perhaps middle-aged or older, and some not. And any violence that there is in the film, or even something shocking, it's people stomached it, put it that way. But as I say, it's not about that. The film itself is it's well done. I'm sure the genre itself has been done before. It's been something in a similar vein I've seen before, I'm sure. But it's done very well. The music's great, as I say. Nick Cave and others, or Nick Cave collaborating with somebody else, I believe. It's just it is a good film. It wasn't a disappointment. It wasn't a disappointment. I'm really glad I saw it. But yeah, so Queen's Park is where I am right now. It's Queen's Park Day, which I didn't realise until I stumbled across it. And it's been a mixed day. A film, Lexi Cinema, which I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do a separate podcast about the Lexi Cinema. But it's as I say, on my website minimovie.com, you'll find 2 or 3 articles from the last 5 years where I've mentioned the Lexi. There's one of the most recent being when the refurbishment, which is now still how it is, went ahead, and it looks beautiful, and there's more space. There's even a small outside area out the back. They've recently put this readograph, or whatever you want to call it, this illuminated sign, like many traditional old cinemas have. They wanted to draw people's attention. I was actually one of the contributors to getting that funded. It makes the cinema stand out more than it did, and it gives that nice touch. So it's a very small cinema. I think it's got 60 seats or so. So even it's beautiful. It's so different. You can become a member there as well. I think it's £35. You can get 3 free tickets and discount off other things and other goodies. So I recommend it. But as I say, I might do a podcast on the Lexi Cinema. So you can find it. Incidentally, you can find it on Instagram and Twitter with the same handle. I believe it's the Lexi Cinema, and of course you can find it on Facebook and elsewhere. Their website, you can locate that as well. But yeah, so as these cars here, these trucks, these mini fairground sort of rides or something, I can't remember what they were really. Some sort of fair thing. They're heading off now. It's 7:33, so it's getting dark, and I'm going to head back to the Queen's Park area and then head back to my home just on foot, which is something I'm trying to do more of now. I'm trying to record more podcasts like this. Obviously the main podcasts, if you want to call them the main ones, are from my recording room. Every now and again I want to do this. It's good. It's a good feeling, and it's a bit of real life, which I like. And I really like real life, but I like that kind of thing. Even with films and things, I like even the documentaries or the docudramas. I like that kind of style, and I like that with atmosphere, with a bit of realism. And also, while it was fresh in my mind, Wind River, a mini review there. So I will leave you with that, and I will bid you farewell and wish you all the best and say adios. Okay, adios.